Chris was the most handsome lawyer in town. He had everything: success, admiration, and charm, but his marriage lacked the one thing he truly desired: love. He knew Annie, his wife, didn't love him. Yet every night, he sat alone, holding her photo, thinking of her endlessly. What Chris didn't realize was that over time, Annie had begun to fall in love with him. She had watched him from a distance, observed his quiet devotion, and found herself drawn to the man she had once taken for granted. One evening, as she passed his study, she saw him gazing tenderly at a photograph. Her heart clenched. Who is the woman he loves so deeply? The next morning, after Chris left for work, Annie sneaked into his study, searching frantically for the photo. She had to know. Just then, Chris appeared in the doorway. He was surprised, but also secretly pleased. Only a wife who truly cared would go to such lengths to uncover a potential rival. "Annie," he said, watching her carefully. Caught in the act, Annie hesitated, then slowly stepped closer. But before she could ask about the photo, Chris, not wanting her to realize the woman in it was her, simply smiled and said, "It's just someone important to me." Then he turned and walked away. Annie was left standing there, heart pounding. She needed to bridge the distance between them. That evening, she secretly attended one of his legal lectures, hoping to understand him better. But just as the session ended, a woman approached Chris, laughing as they spoke. A sharp pang of jealousy hit Annie. She turned and hurried away, emotions in turmoil. Chris noticed immediately. Without hesitation, he chased after her, catching up. He gently grabbed her wrist. "What made you come tonight?" he asked, his voice laced with curiosity. "I didn't think you were interested in this kind of thing." Annie took a deep breath, and in a moment of vulnerability, confessed, "I wanted to see you. I think I love you." Chris was stunned, but his heart soared. He had waited so long to hear those words. That night was special. It was also their 1-month wedding anniversary. Wanting to make it unforgettable, Annie put on her most beautiful nightgown, arranged a lavish lunch with the housekeeper, and picked fresh roses from the garden. She was finally ready to embrace her feelings. When Chris returned home, she greeted him with a bright smile. "Happy anniversary," she whispered, brushing a soft kiss against his cheek. But instead of responding as she had hoped, Chris simply stood at the doorway and said, "I'm going to work." Annie froze, the warmth in her eyes turned cold. Stunned, hurt, and then fury bubbled beneath the surface. As Chris walked away, she stood there in silence, realizing that love, no matter how deep, wasn't always returned in time. Title: Love Isn't